This podcast is a work of historical interpretation. While we strive for accuracy, some aspects of history are open to interpretation and debate. Thank you for listening. Welcome to Time Tellers.
Yay.
I'm Renee, and this is Dan.
As it now says on our cover image. Does that mean I should update the website too?
Probably.
What?
It should all be the same.
Why didn't you tell me to do that when I was at home?
I know your schedule.
I thought you did.
Today, we are doing a Valentine's Day special because Valentine's Day is Dan's favorite holiday. It is a Valentine's Day special.
What's so special about it?
Dan hates Valentine's Day.
Your fault.
And this title is By Permission Only, Laws That Decided Who Was Allowed to Love.
As of right now, it's still accurate.
And this is February 5th, 2026. Just putting that out there. It should still be accurate for another 5 days when it airs. I'm optimistic. Right? No?
Okay. It depends. What are we distracting from today?
I don't know.
Which file?
One of many.
Okay.
Valentine's Day is built on the idea that love is timeless, that it simply exists. Beyond politics, beyond borders, beyond rules.
Which is a lovely thought. Also historically completely wrong.
For most of recorded history, love was not universally considered a private matter. Its regulation varied widely across cultures and eras, highlighting its complex history.
It was a regulated activity.
A legal status.
A threat sometimes.
Who you could marry, sleep beside, build a family with, or even acknowledge publicly was shaped by laws that decided which relationships strengthened the state and which ones endangered it, affecting millions of personal lives.
And those laws didn't just reflect prejudice, they enforced power, making many feel their love was illegitimate and invisible.
This episode is about those laws. Not just what they said, but why they existed, who enforced them, and how understanding this can inspire ongoing social change. Hold. I gotta clean my glasses so I can read my screen. Okay.
It's not my fault you were looking at a bunch of dirty stuff.
But to understand how love or hate, I swear to God, hit that button one more time, you're going to lose a finger.
That sounds like attention.
To understand. See, the crazy part is you're going to edit that out and just make me sound completely insane.
Yes.
Gaslighting at its finest, folks.
I've offered many times to let you edit them yourself.
I have enough going on in my life. Thank you very much. To understand how love became regulated in the United States, we have to go back before the United States existed.
Ow.
Keep your hand away from the dial.
If it means you hit me, okay. Colonial America was obsessed with classification.
Race, religion, labor status, legitimacy, these categories weren't social, they were legal.
And marriage sat right at the center of all of them.
In 1661, the colony of Virginia passed one of the earliest laws banning marriage between white people and the people of African descent.
This wasn't about morality in the abstract.
It was about inheritance and labor.
Virginia lawmakers, as mentioned in our Virginia's for Lovers episode that's never coming out, were responding to something specific, relationships between white men and enslaved or indentured women of African descent.
Children from those relationships complicated ownership.
So the law solved the problem by outlawing the relationship itself, unless you're Thomas Jefferson.
Correct. In 1691, a Virginia statute warned against what lawmakers called, quote, that abominable mixture and spurious issue which hereafter may increase.
That phrase, spurious issue, is doing legal work.
In layman terms, it meant illegitimate children who might make claims on property, freedom, or status.
Love wasn't the concern, control was.
By the 18th century, race was being written into law as a permanent inherited condition.
Which meant marriage across racial lines became a direct threat to the legal system itself.
Colonial newspapers openly discussed these fears.
Not in coded language.
In 1723, a Virginia pamphlet warned that interracial marriage would, quote, confound the distinction of persons which the law has widely established, unquote.
That sounds like a scandal.
Yeah, it does.
That word again. Wisely.
These laws were framed as rational governance.
Not cruelty, not hatred, order.
After independence, many Americans assumed, incorrectly, that these laws would fade. Oops, I gave away your line.
They didn't.
Correct. Instead, courts doubled down.
In the 19th century, judges routinely upheld interracial marriage bans.
One Indiana judge wrote that such marriages were, quote, contrary to nature and destructive to civilized society, unquote.
This shows how the law borrowed language from religion and pseudoscience, using them interchangeably.
By 1883, the U.S. Supreme Court also upheld these bans outright,
Arguing they didn't violate equality because both partners were punished.
which ignored reality completely. By the late 1800s, race laws were reinforced by new authority, science.
Or what passed for science.
Eugenics argued that society had a duty to prevent bad reproduction.
And love was a vector.
States began passing laws banning marriage for people labeled feeble-minded, degenerate, or unfit. This was in America. Just clarifying.
These terms had no medical definition.
They were applied disproportionately to poor women, immigrants, disabled people, and people of color.
A 1912 report...
That's supposed to be me again.
Why'd you put a line there?
I don't know. Sorry. 1912 report from the Indiana State Board of Health warned that unrestricted marriage would result in blank, quote, an increase of defective offspring who burden the state.
That's the government talking about love as public expense.
And marriage licenses became gatekeeping tools, reminding us how easily love rights can be taken away or restricted again, or just, extra money when you have to replace said things.
You could be denied not because of a crime, but because officials thought you might produce. Produce what?
Reproduce is what that word's supposed to be. It even has a line under it because it's spelled wrong. Sorry.
I just read the script. Don't blame me.
While race laws controlled marriage, same-sex love was often criminalized at the level of intimacy itself.
Not just weddings, touch.
American sodomy laws were inherited from English common law.
And they were deliberately vague.
This allowed for broad enforcement.
Sounds like a lot of laws.
In 1924, Chicago Tribune article described a police raid on a private apartment where men were arrested for what the paper called, quote, unnatural acts conducted in secrecy, unquote.
No description, no evidence, just an accusation.
The implication alone was enough.
Which? I was, accusing somebody of witchcraft.
Oh, witchcraft, yeah, totally, yeah, that's very, very similar.
Yeah.
I thought you meant I wrote something wrong. That's what I was rereading.
No,
I
it's
was like,
nice.
what?
No description, no evidence, just an accusation.
There was a witch burner, which they didn't really do. They mostly hung them, but at least in America. In the mid-20th century, fear escalated.
During the Cold War,
same-sex relationships were framed as security risk.
The logic went like this. If you could be blackmailed, you were dangerous.
Which meant queer people were purged from government jobs.
Not for spying, but for loving.
In 1950, a Senate report claimed homosexuals were, quote, security risk of the highest order, unquote.
That report destroyed careers.
And families.
No other report should be doing that about right now?
Steve.
I said report, not files.
Oh. Okay, then I'm not sure what we're talking about.
The report on the files.
Oh. If Dan disappears, I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, there's enough recorded evidence that you probably did, actually.
I need to make sure I always have an alibi for every second of my life. I'm just kidding. Not everyone was allowed even to marry in the first place.
Indentured servants often needed permission.
Enslaved people were frequently forbidden from legal marriage entirely.
Which meant families could be broken without legal consequence.
In an 1848 plantation ledger from South Carolina lists enslaved unions as quote-unquote arrangements, not marriages.
Language stripping love of legitimacy.
For women, love existed under legal erasure.
Marriage absorbed women into their husband's legal identity.
True. A doctrine called coverture.
Which meant you couldn't own property or control wages.
Until the 1970s. Literally.
Yeah.
Leaving marriage meant destitution.
So choice was often theoretical.
And not really a choice at all. Despite everything, people loved each other anyways.
They always do.
They lived together quietly, married elsewhere, and passed as something else.
And sometimes they fought back openly.
For most people living under restrictive love laws, resistance didn't look like marches or court filings.
It looked like secrecy, like our Masons episode that has a bit air jet.
Couples learned which towns were safer, which neighbors could be trusted, which doors to keep closed.
And newspapers played a decisive role in enforcing the rules.
Local papers regularly published arrests for, quote-unquote, illegal cohabitation or, quote, unnatural relations or addresses listed.
Jobs were lost the next day.
This is what we call doxing today. An 1896 article in the Richmond Dispatch described an interracial couple's arrest with the headline, "Shocking Violation of Our Social Code."
Shocking.
Not
a crime headline, a moral headline.
The article spent more time describing the woman's appearance than the law, and that totally tracks.
But what if her appearance broke the law? I mean, what if she wore pants?
The scandal lock her up. As I'm wearing
agree.
Pants.
and an endangered species.
Women wearing pants?
No.
Oh, I forgot what shirt I was wearing. It's not real. It's just a print.
Sure, that's your legal excuse.
That's my legal defense. Now win. Go ahead.
It was a gift. You didn't know what it was, and you didn't question its origin. Which tells you who the audience was supposed to judge.
The woman. Always the woman. When couples did fight back, the courtroom was rarely sympathetic.
Judges openly mocked plaintiffs.
In one 1913 Alabama case, a judge dismissed a challenge to interracial marriage laws by stating that, quote, affection does not supersede nature, unquote.
Which sounds philosophical until you realize it's enforcing segregation.
Courts often frame love as an impulse.
And the law as reason.
That framing mattered.
A Georgia Supreme Court opinion from 1870.
Go ahead. You can read it.
Nope.
A Georgia Supreme Court opinion from 1877 argued that marriage laws were necessary because, quote, the passions of men are unreliable guides, unquote. For once, we're blaming the man. This is ironic considering who wrote the laws. Dan's distracted right now.
How am I distracted?
Same-sex love survived because people built underground networks.
Bars, boarding houses, private apartments.
Police knew this and monitored them.
But historians knew it too because queer communities documented themselves.
Diaries, letters, court transcripts. In a 1932 diary held by the New York Public Library, a woman wrote, quote, we do not speak of what we are, but we know that must be enough, unquote.
That's love under surveillance.
And that sentence exists because the writer knew discovery meant arrest. One of the most devastating consequences of forbidden love was the loss of children.
Courts routinely removed children from interracial or same-sex households.
Judges argued these homes were immoral environments.
And the people determining what was immoral is the government?
Yeah.
Not abusive, not neglectful.
Simply wrong. A 1954 California custody ruling stated that a mother's same-sex relationship rendered her, quote, unfit to provide proper moral instruction.
No evidence, just an assumption.
The child was removed from her mother's home.
No, they were just removed.
I hope not.
Would you know?
Well, that's going to keep me up at night. Thanks, Dan.
How do you know there wasn't a little trap door or something to just...
Drops out from underneath them?
Yeah.
Marriage wasn't just about romance. It was a gateway to citizenship.
Especially for that I word, immigrants.
But U.S. law restricted who could marry citizens.
Asian immigrants were heavily targeted.
Anti-misgeneration laws intersected with immigration bans.
There's that word again.
I know. Under the Cable Act of 1922, American women lost citizenship if they married certain non-citizens.
Including Asian men who were barred from naturalization.
So love could literally make you stateless.
Marriage as punishment.
Religious language frequently appeared in legal defenses of the restriction on love.
Even in supposedly secular courts.
Judges quoted scripture, which drives me up a wall.
Yeah, what about that separation of church and state?
Right? It's kind of important.
Yeah. Legislators invoked divine order.
But religion wasn't unified.
Some clergy resisted these laws.
Good on them. In 1948, a group of clergy in California filed a brief arguing that interracial marriage bans violated Christian teachings on equality. And let's just give them a round of applause.
I'm sure they got executed. Or excommunicated. Their argument was ignored.
But it does exist in the record.
The United States wasn't unique.
Other countries regulated love aggressively.
South Africa's apartheid regime criminalized interracial relationships.
Nazi Germany outlawed relationship between Jews and non-Jews.
British colonial law criminalized same-sex relationships across the empire.
And many of those laws remain today, at least on the books. Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code, written by British administrators, criminalized, quote, carnal intercourse against the order of nature, unquote.
That language traveled across continents.
Long after Britain left. Or was kicked out. Forced out. Love laws didn't collapse in a single moment.
They eroded slowly.
State by state, case by case.
Often against fierce resistance.
Newspapers warned of chaos.
Politicians predicted societal collapse.
In 1958, an editorial in the Jackson Daily News warned that allowing interracial marriage would, quote, destroy the family as we know it, unquote.
Scandal again. A sentence that would be reused many times for different targets.
One of the tragedies of these laws is how much love history erased.
Couples who never appear in records.
Families whose relationships weren't legally recognized.
Stories lost because survival required silence.
We know they existed because the laws tried so hard to stop them. So, Valentine's Day feels frivolous, or if your Dan is just like the worst day known to man. Maybe not the worst, but one of them. Top 10?
I'm just going to blame you. Your fault.
Okay.
Candy hearts and cards.
But the ability to celebrate love openly is not trivial.
It's historically rare.
And legally fragile. When love laws finally began to fall, it wasn't because lawmakers suddenly grew compassionate. No.
It was because the contradictions became impossible to ignore.
By the mid-20th century, the United States was telling two stories at once.
One about freedom, democracy, and equality.
And another written into statute books that said some people were inherently unfit to love.
Those stories couldn't coexist forever.
One of the most crucial shifts wasn't what courts decided, but how they spoke.
Earlier rulings treated love as an impulse.
Or danger.
Or moral failure.
But in the 1940s and 50s, World War II and then after, judges began to reframe marriage slowly.
Not as a privilege.
But as a civil right. In a 1948 California case, again, striking down the state's interracial marriage ban. The court wrote that the marriage was, quote, not a mere privilege granted by the state, unquote.
That sentence matters.
Because it reframed the entire debate.
If marriage wasn't a privilege, then denying it required extraordinary justification.
Legal change did not mean public acceptance, though.
In many places, it meant open defiance.
County clerks, and this is recent, too, refused to issue licenses.
Judges delayed hearings.
State officials quietly ignored rulings. Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
In 1967, after the Supreme Court ruled in Loving v. Virginia, newspapers across the South ran editorials condemning the decision.
One Mississippi paper warned that Washington has once again imposed alien values on local communities.
That language, alien values, comes up again and again in love law backlash.
What's wrong with E.T.?
Right? I don't know.
Or
Poor
Muftak, or Cabe, or Dr. Zyvian, or the Ewoks,
who's the guy
or
from
the Jawas.
Third Rock from the Sun? What were their names?
Who cares? What about the Coneheads?
Oh my gosh. I give an example and you just brush over it.
The Coneheads that came from France.
Carry on, please.
It's a way of framing equality as invasion.
While interracial marriage bans fell in the 1960s, same-sex love remained criminalized for decades.
And enforcement continued aggressively.
Police raids didn't stop.
Custody losses didn't stop.
But cracks did begin to appear. And in 1986, we're in the 80s now. I was alive at this time.
The 1880s.
No, 1986. Supreme Court dissent Justice Harry Blackmun wrote that the case was not about sex, but about, quote, the right to be let alone, unquote.
That's a radical idea in this context.
Privacy as a constitutional value, as in we have the right to privacy.
Unless you're on the internet. Not morality, not tradition.
Even as some barriers fell, others remained firmly in place.
Disabled people continued to face marriage restrictions.
Immigration laws still penalized certain unions.
Fees and licensing requirement functionally excluded poor people.
And trans people faced legal erasure entirely.
The expansion of love rights was selective.
In a 1975 testimony before Congress, disability advocates described marriage bans as, quote, a continuation of institutional control over adult lives.
Which is precisely what they were.
One of the more potent things about love law cases is how they built on each other.
Courts reuse language.
They reuse logic.
They reuse moral framing.
The idea that marriage is a fundamental right didn't stay contained.
It spread.
Later, marriage equality cases repeatedly cited earlier rulings about interracial marriage.
Not as symbolism, but as precedent.
The logic was simple.
If the state can't ban marriages based on race,
it can't ban it based on identity. It's tempting to see this story as a straight line.
From repression to freedom.
But history doesn't move that way.
Rights expand and contract.
Victories create backlash.
Old arguments return with new targets.
The same editorials that once warned that interracial marriages would destroy society used nearly identical language decades later to oppose same-sex marriage.
Word for word in some cases.
History can repeat, and it also leaves receipts. When you strip it down, these laws weren't about love at all.
They were about hierarchy.
About who deserved legitimacy.
About who counted as fully human.
Love threatened these systems because love ignores categories.
And the law hates ambiguity, unless it benefits them.
Mm-hmm. For every court case we know, there are thousands of untold stories.
Couples who never went public.
Families who never made the paper.
People who chose safety over recognition.
Fair enough. History doesn't record silence.
It means
we're seeing that right now, too.
Yeah.
But silence doesn't mean absence. So what does this mean for Valentine's Day?
It means love isn't small.
It isn't apolitical.
And it isn't guaranteed.
Every card, every wedding, every family photo rests on centuries of struggle.
People who loved anyway, quietly, illegally, bravely.
This holiday exists for many reasons, but also because the law finally, reluctantly, stepped aside.
And to sell stuff.
Yes, and to sell stuff. And I should say that doesn't necessarily exist because of that, but it's more celebrated openly by people who weren't able to celebrate. That's how that should have gone.
And history tells us it can always step back in.
This has been Time Tellers. I'm Renee.
You already introduced me once.
Fine. If you enjoyed this episode, consider whose love stories history hasn't told yet.
And why.
We'll see you next time. Bye!